It's fourth down talk, get ready for the play. Football is nice, we're here to say. From kickoff to the final whistle blow, we break it down just so you know. Fourth down talk, we're in the zone. Football, passion, heart and soul. Tune in now, it's time to see the game we love, our destiny. Fourth down talk, we're in the zone. Football, passion, heart and soul. Tune in now, it's time to see the game we love, our destiny.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to Fourth Down Talk, the show where every down counts and so does your opinion. I'm Albert, and here with your co-host, here with your star of the show, Extra Crispy, also known as Chris. Today, we are going to be breaking down a lot of the major stories around the league, and trust me, you don't want to miss any of the stuff we have lined up for you today. But before we get started, Chris, go ahead and tell the people how you're doing.
Feeling pretty good, man. It is Thursday. We have a game to watch. I don't know how much of it I'll be actually watching, but we'll get into that in a little bit as to why. But it's Halloween. Everybody's feeling good. You know, candy's in the air. Kids were running around somewhere out there, but no kids for me, so no trick-or-treating either.
I hear that. Someone's having fun, I'd imagine. Hope everyone's dressing up. You know, you got a bunch of randos dressing up as referees trying to officiate these NFL games, but, you know, that's a whole nother story in itself, too.
That was past that era already.
For the replacements? I doubt it. Still feel like replacements. On today's show, though, we're just going to deep dive into the Cowboys and the Jets. We're going to talk a little bit about this week's games coming up, talk a little bit about tonight's game. But let's get right into it. Let's get right into the story of it all. First, let's just start right down with the Cowboys and their recent struggles in a lot of their recent games. You have Dak Prescott, the $60 million man, can't seem to cut it loose. He was second place in MVP voting last year. Now, he's just not even the most valuable person to any degree. Like, what happened with this team, and where do you see them going in the long run?
What happened with this team is an excellent question. They have a very, very similar roster to last year. They only really lost to Tony Pollard. They replaced Tony Pollard with Dalvin Cook. They have Brandon Cooks. He came back. He's currently hurt. But most of the defense came back, except Michael Parsons is currently hurt. There's kind of a pattern I'm starting to see. The more pieces the Cowboys lose, even if they're just one or two, they seem to have a significant impact on whether the offense or defense seems to be playing well. But what it really goes back to for me is one person, and it's the coach. His name is Mike McCarthy. They made a big deal about last year and coming into this season that Jerry Jones was giving Mike McCarthy the opportunity to actually make play calls. Because before, when they had Kellen Moore, the offensive coordinator, he made all the play calls, and Mike McCarthy just kind of handled the head coaching. But now these are Mike McCarthy's plays. So if there's anyone that the offensive blame should start on, you could say it's Dak, but I'm looking a little bit higher up to Mike McCarthy.
You make a pretty good point of that. To expound on that, Mike McCarthy's overall record is 170 to 105, and his postseason record is, of course, 1-1. Now, since being with the Cowboys, how many playoffs have they had?
He's been there, what, 3 years, 4 years? He hasn't been there longer than 2021, right?
Yeah, not that long. But nonetheless,
when they lost to us with Jimmy G, that was 2021. Mike McCarthy was there, but so was Kellen Moore. He was still there.
Can I get fully out on that? I mean, for the most part, he's had about a 700 record with the Cowboys. In his first year, he was 12-5. Well, actually, no. His first year, he was 6-10. But kind of moving forward, they've been a steady 12-5. This year, they're looking sort of similar to what they were that first year. They're sitting at 3-4. At some point, I get what you're saying about Mike McCarthy because he's the head coach. He's the one putting this all together. But also, when you pay $60 million to your QB, you kind of have to have this whole notion of, I don't care who we have in their regulated positions, you got to keep them in line. Dak Prescott has, 1,800 passing yards, 10 touchdowns, 8 interceptions with a QBR 84.5. That ain't too bad. But when you're the $60 million man, your decision-maker's got to be better. Your pocket presence has got to be in sync. But it seems like without a running game, he's useless. It's useless, the right word. I mean, honestly.
Useless, it sounds harsh. I know some people are going to say, hey, that's rude. You can't say that about him, but the numbers are there. Dak Prescott, without a solid run game to back him up, he's he's a good quarterback. He is not a great quarterback. He is not a $60 million quarterback. I can tell you that much. Patrick Mahomes doesn't make. You know what? We're not getting into that. This isn't about Mahomes.
Well, no, that's
This is
fine. You
about
can
the
get into that
Cowboys.
because in the end of it, can you? I mean, for what it's worth, ideally, Dak only got paid because he was the next man up. So it's like, is it even to the point of what he's worth? Like, what is he worth? Is he a $40 million quarterback? To be honest.
I mean, people seem to forget that Dak Prescott was not a first round, second, or a third round pick. He was a fourth round picked quarterback. That is not top tier. That is mid range. You might be good, but they don't consider you to be great. For reference, Russell Wilson was a third round quarterback, and he was never considered to be great out the gate. He had a very good team around him that helped him win a Super Bowl. Dak has also had a very good team around him for the majority of his career, but they can't even get to the Super Bowl, let alone get to the NFC Championship game.
Seriously, that's the
What
biggest
what
issue.
happens? The main issue that I see for Dak Prescott in the playoffs is he does perform well, but when under pressure, he throws picks. Instead of throwing the ball away, instead of just checking it down, he goes for the home run and it gets picked off. As of we speak right now, he is on a 3-game, 2 interception per game streak. He is the first Cowboy to do that since well before Tony Romo, before who was before Romo? Who am I missing?
Well, like Quincy Carter, I guess. I don't
Yeah,
know. There's a lot of quarterbacks before. Before Romo, it was
yeah.
your Vinny Testaverdes. Like it was a litany of people who were just.
And he's the first one that's thrown 2 picks in 3 or more consecutive games.
Mm,
It's not a
I
good
don't
look.
know. It's not. And then you talk about the missing of Michael Parsons. I understand that. But the defense still shows vulnerability just in other areas as it is. They can't seem to stop the run. They've been inconsistent in any form of the secondary. Injuries, although they are piling on, as what's the next man up? It's like there's so many problems with this team. I don't even know if they could come close to being second in the division because you got the Eagles look good, you got Washington, they look really good. The Giants, I mean, right now those two are the only teams fighting for last place. They look like similar teams to some degree, though.
They do. And one quarterback's getting 40 million, the other one's getting 60 million. But in the Giants case, who's getting the rest of this money? Where are the stars that are helping elevate your team? Because in Dak Prescott's defense, he does have CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb is one of the best receivers in the league, but if he's your only option, what is he supposed to do? Like, there's at a certain point, I do agree that yes, Dak deserves a lot of the blame, but what am I supposed to do if I'm Dak Prescott when the only people I had to throw the ball to were guys who were on other teams' practice squads 2 weeks ago?
You know, I hear you, but I'm still going to say you paid a man $60. Hey, Tom Brady took a Wes Welker, a pure nobody from Miami, and made him into a Super Bowl
He
champion.
did.
That's all I'm saying. I get it. Next man up. That's just how the market rolls. But if you pay this man that much money, you got to expect some expectation. The whole reason you pay him is because you want him to carry the team in some respect. He ain't even doing that.
He's not.
That's
He's
something.
not. They
I
are
don't know.
they are dead last as we speak. Per Fox News, per Fox Sports, sorry. They are dead last in rush defense and they are 30th in rush offense. They
Mm.
can't run the ball and they can't stop the run.
Ooh, so that does bring it to the question. Maybe they did drop the ball not going after Derrick Henry. Maybe they should have just held on to a Tony Pollard. In the grand scheme, I guess it isn't even about receivers, but it is about their run game or lack thereof. They just
Could you
are an
have
incomplete team.
could
Hmm.
they have done anything in the offseason? They didn't do anything.
Yeah, they didn't do anything.
They could have got Amari Cooper back. Derrick Henry is making $7 million a year in Baltimore right now. Amari Cooper got traded for less than what they gave up for him to send him to Cleveland in the first place. Why didn't you just get him back?
Yeah, honestly, I don't even know. It's bad decision making, but you know what? From one bad decision making team to another.
Oh boy.
You got to talk about the Jets and the AFC. Same level of disappointment, but I don't know. I think this one may only be worse because of the all in they decided to do. They went all in on getting Aaron Rodgers. They went all in on getting anything and everything Aaron Rodgers demanded on. They went all in on the trade to get Devontae Adams. And I mean, honestly, I don't know. Is that Zach Wilson out there? It looks like Zach Wilson. They tell me it's Aaron Rodgers, but I mean, it's the same results as Zach Wilson could get you. I don't like any of
Literally,
it.
it's the same. To this point in the season, the last season that Zach Wilson started and the last season that Aaron Rodgers started, they have the same number of wins, they have the same number of yards per game, and they have the same defensive powers, but offensive struggles. It's the same
Yeah.
team.
A lot of those offensive struggles. Again, I'm going to put on the quarterback. I got to put the blame on Aaron Rodgers. A lot of this falls on him primarily because he was the guy who they brought in to help turn this ship around and make them a qualified playoff team. He was the guy that came in and demanded all these acquisitions and trades and pickups. And, the Jets, for what they were, kowtowed to that. Did everything they wanted him to do. And it didn't work out. So it's like, you know what? Maybe it's the coach. Let's get rid of Robert Saleh. They get rid of the coach, and it still didn't work out. I don't even know what the record is, but there's a statistic that shows that anytime a team loses against a new head coach, they at least win their first game. Jets couldn't even do that. Dude, I don't even know. Devontae Adams went from a bad team to a sorry team. At least he's playing with his best friend. It's a dumpster fire.
It is bad. It is more than bad. Because it comes down to the question, Aaron, how much help do you need? We fired the coach, like you said. We brought in every Packers receiver you asked us to. We brought in Nathaniel Hackett. We brought in Devontae Adams. You have Breece Hall. You have Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson was the offensive rookie of the year like 2 seasons ago. They have the number 4 ranked defense. Why are you 2-6? Aaron?
Wow. It's funny because when he was playing with Green Bay, one of the biggest arguments was the reason they don't win Super Bowls is because the defense gives up like 50, 42 plus points a game. Now you have a defense that's actually stopping people, but you can't even win regular season games. I don't know. Because another thing, they haven't really fixed the offensive line because it still has major weaknesses as well. They struggle against the run for what it's worth. They have some inconsistency with the pass rush, although they are still doing well. This could be attributed to the teams they're playing. But all in all, I don't know, between the Cowboys and the Jets, if you had to choose one and not the other, who's making the playoffs?
Oh my gosh. Who's making the playoffs?
I mean, they're not winning the Super Bowl, but
No.
you figure with the investment they put into one quarterback and the investment they put to go all in on another, one of these teams' investments have to work out. So who's making the playoffs?
I would say, if any team had a chance, you would think it would be the Cowboys, because they're 3-4 to the Jets 2-6. The Jets would literally have to win out almost to even be considered to make a wild card spot. But you know what? I think I'd still give it to the Jets. Mainly because the sheer number of teams in the NFC that are going to have a positive record. Almost every team in the NFC North has a positive record.
That's true.
2 teams in Dak's own division have a positive record. You're going to get at least one team out of the West, and at least one team out of the South. So that's 4. And then you take the last 2 teams in the North and one team from the East. That's 3. That's 7 teams. Where are the Cowboys going to fit in?
No, actually, no, it's a good question because I really neither one of these teams are really going to. I don't know. The Cowboys probably could. I don't like the Jets. They're sitting at 2-6.
That's
and
too far
already,
down.
that's right. They're just too far down. They're not going to win a division.
No.
And I mean, not for nothing. The Cowboys, the NFC least beast, however you want to call it or categorize it this year, they may have a slighter chance of winning their division as opposed to the Jets.
There is a chance that their teams falter. There is a chance that the Vikings are about to turn into the Vikings people thought they were. There's a chance that the Eagles don't quite work things out, and they could start to fall backwards. But they have won 3 in a row. Who else are we? Oh, the Bears. Bears could be a question mark because they have a rookie.
They're 4-3 right now, though.
And then I don't know what the hell's going on in the NFC West, but we're all tied except the Rams.
Well, the Cardinals are sitting on top of the division, right?
currently, yeah, because they
Okay,
beat us.
so
Yeah.
that's right. Okay, the Cardinals and then the Seahawks and then the Niners. Yeah, both of them 4-4. That's going
Yeah,
to be an
because
interesting turnout.
Seahawks have a better conference record than we do, I think. Or I think we might be in second place, second or third.
The third place.
Yeah, we're third because they have a better conference record than we do. Because we beat the Seahawks, but they, I don't think they played the Cardinals yet. No, they haven't.
Not
They
yet.
haven't played them yet.
Well, taking it from there though, let's go and talk about a team who has actually done pretty well. A team who has actually kind of improved. We're talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers, and
Pittsburgh.
based on how their season's kind of going, they're doing really well. They won the last game against the Giants. Russell Wilson, and like you mentioned, you don't know if he started cooking yet, but the man has come back from the store and he's at least getting the ingredients ready. Is it fair to believe that the Steelers could be a dark horse to get to the Super Bowl? They're third in their conference right now.
That's the thing. I'm starting to wonder. I think Dark Horse was the conversation maybe 2-3 weeks ago. Now,
That's right. Yeah.
so he's going to get better with the offense keeping the defense off the field. They're going to get more time to rest. I have no reason to not believe in them right now. They have a better defense than the Ravens do. They have a better offense than the Bengals do. The only real question mark right now is, can they beat the Browns?
Oh, yo, I love Jameis Winston. I love Jameis Winston. Don't have me make these choices right now because I really do love Jameis Winston. The answer is going to be I believe they can beat the Browns. A lot of it has to do, I think, to some degree, maybe their talent. You got Najee Harris, T.J. Watt, Mika Fitzpatrick, very significant impact players to any degree. I don't know if the Browns can muster that. Oh,
don't forget George Pickens, Calvin Austin III,
right?
Jalen Warren, unsung hero at running back on the Steelers.
They have a lot of positives that I can look at. I mean, there's maybe some questions as far as the certainty of the QB position, maybe the offensive line to some degree. The defense may have few issues, but overall, I feel like it's still a strong team. Plus, another key element to this is Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin may be the only coach in the league who you could say is the face of a franchise. He's the most consistent of the Steelers. Never had a losing record, transitioning from Ben Roethlisberger now to question marks of a Mason Rudolph to a Josh Dobbs, I believe, at one point, to now to a Russell Wilson. So, and Russell Wilson, by the way, who a lot of people thought was over the hill, because Sean Payton couldn't do anything with him. But now Mike Tomlin comes around. It's like, hold on, there's still some gas left in this tank. You just have to know how to drive the car.
Thank you, because as a 49er fan, I know Russell Wilson pretty well. He still looks like Russell Wilson. He had Nathaniel Hackett, who is garbage.
You can't hack it.
Sean Payton, the first thing out of camp when he got there was that him and Russell wasn't getting along. So that wasn't going to work. So he's out. Sean Payton seems to be doing well right now. He's got Bo Nix. Are we willing to start the Sean Payton is racist argument? We're not going to do that.
No, we're not going to do that.
Drew Brees, good. Bo Nix, good. Russell Wilson, bad.
No, Russell
Numbers don't lie.
Oh, but I don't know. They look like a good team. You talk about whether or not the Steelers can beat the Browns. Let's just talk about the rest of the conference. How do you feel the chances against the other two top teams, the Bills and the Chiefs?
Bills are playing surprisingly well. I think if the Steelers were to play the Bills right now in Pittsburgh, they might pull out a win. If they can suffocate Josh. Who did he play where he had that terrible stat line?
Who's that?
Josh Allen. He went like 9 of 30.
9 of 30. This season?
That was this season.
Let me see. Ooh, I have to look for it. Hold on a second.
They suffocated him, but that was also before he got Amari Cooper.
Houston
did that.
Yeah, 9 of 30. Only one TD, 0 interceptions. Well, one TD, sacked one time though.
Yeah.
He just couldn't get the ball to anybody.
That's the other thing. He's not. Even when he plays poorly, you know what he's not doing? He's not turning the ball over.
Not that much. No, he only has one interception for the year. And he has 4 fumbles, though. 5 fumbles. But, I mean, I don't know how many of those fumbles even turned over.
That's the thing. They just count as fumbles.
Yeah. Yeah, one
But
pick. That's pretty impressive in consideration of how he normally would perform in a regular season.
yeah, considering he was a leader in interception. So right now, if that Steelers defense plays at its best, I think they can beat the Bills.
Okay. And what about the Chiefs?
Uh, I don't, I don't know anybody that can beat the Chiefs right now.
All right,
The
well, let's
last
change
team
it.
to beat the Chiefs just lost to the Chiefs.
All right, well, instead of the Chiefs, let's keep it in the division. What about the Ravens? Because that's who I still consider to be the best team in football. At least I said that last time on the show. A lot's changed in those 2 weeks since then, but I don't know. I feel like the Steelers will fare against them.
The Steelers and Ravens have always had a storied battle when they fight. It's always a big defensive struggle. They don't score a lot of points, but it's going to be a good game. That Ravens defense is worrisome. They're ranked pretty low. 26? Something like that. It's bad. But offensively, they're so strong.
I say the offense is still pretty strong in comparison to the Steelers. I'm going to pick the Ravens anyway. Also, because nothing against the Steelers, but Steelers.
No, I think if they're forced to go into a shootout, that favors the Ravens. If the Steelers can keep Lamar off sync and maybe not run as much, and they mainly just have to focus on stopping Derrick Henry, the Steelers could edge out a win. It would be something like 16-10 or something like that.
It could be really close in that degree.
If this game turns into like if it turns into like a 20-something game, the Ravens are going to win.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I kind of feel the same way. The Ravens seem to have a little bit more of a balanced offense, decent defense that gives them a sort of an edge. My projection, I do see the Ravens coming out on top. If it's in a game that's in the 20s, I will go bold enough to say 27-20. I just feel like the Ravens will be able to get out that last touchdown, whether it be a run by Henry or Lamar, or even Lamar faking everyone with the run and getting the deep ball out there because he can pass the ball. I mean, he's a dynamic QB. So I think he's a better QB than Russell. Another reason why I'll give the Ravens an edge in that case.
I mean, he's a two-time MVP.
All right. Russell's, I don't even think he got MVP.
Also, in the Ravens' favor, they just picked up Deontay Johnson. He had a cup of coffee in Carolina, but you remember where he was before that. Pittsburgh.
Oh, Pittsburgh. That's right. So he's coming back to his home conference, home division.
He would know them. He would practice against them.
Definitely. It would be interesting
for having four black quarterbacks.
Deep in. Hold on.
Jameis Winston, Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, and Joe Cool. All right.
Oh, we're doing that. We're doing that. Listen, you can sit here and root for Macaulay Culkin all you want to. He's left home alone. There's no one there to help him. Bengals ain't making it. I don't like the Bengals.
And statistically, he's actually having a really good season.
Yeah, that's true. But you talk about the pickup that the Ravens had recently pulled off. Let's talk about a few extra trades.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about Devontae Adams to the Jets and how that's done nothing for nobody. But, Amari Cooper to the Bills, that I think has been a pretty good pickup because they fill in the void that Stephon Diggs left, and they got him another QB. I like their chances. And, of course, you got DeAndre Hopkins, who Andy Reid recently came out and said that he's going to be a little bit more of the offensive package coming in next game. Is there anyone else that you feel as if had a really good pickup that no one's talking about?
Well, it's also the Chiefs. It's the underlying. They put Hopkins out there. Hey, look, we picked up DeAndre Hopkins. We also picked up the Patriots' best pass
rusher. All right.
Josh Uche, I think his name is.
I think so. Let me see if I can find that out real quick. But do you feel like these trades made these teams better, or almost to some degree unnecessary movements?
No, I think Amari Cooper to the Bills might be the best for both. It gets him out of Cleveland. Puts him on the Bills. The Bills once again remain a contender. They're likely going to win that division. They have a 4-game lead on everyone. I think that benefits both of them. Bills don't lose. Cooper doesn't lose. Even the Browns don't lose because it's a conditional pick. So the better the Bills do, the better their pick gets.
That's true. They did do that, didn't they?
Chiefs. I mean, the rich get richer. They got DeAndre Hopkins. They got Uche. They already have one of the best defenses in the league. Travis Kelce finally woke up. They have Xavier Worthy. Solid team, man. I really don't know who's going to stop them.
They are a pretty
Then
solid team. They have a lot going for themselves. Go
we
ahead.
have some pieces still out there. DeForest Buckner is still out there. If the Colts are selling, he needs to go to a contender. But right now, my top two contenders to pick up DeForest Buckner are his old team, which is my team, the 49ers, or Detroit. If Detroit picks up DeForest Buckner, they could get a lot scared.
That could be a really big pickup for them. What about Darius Slayton? Is he still out there?
He is. Darius Slayton, he's a solid wide receiver. He's done nothing in New York. He's on the Giants because their offense is so bad, he doesn't do anything.
So the Giants as a whole don't do anything. So there's that too.
I believe if he wanted out, he should be able to get out. T. Higgins is also been talked about from the Bengals. He doesn't really want to not be the guy. And since he's behind Jamar Chase, he's not going to be the guy. So he wants to be out.
And then of course, the Chargers, they had a few moves as well. Well, only one real move. They picked up Elijah Molden. They got him from the Titans. I want to bring up the Chargers because I look at this team and I personally do like Justin Herbert. I think he's a decent QB, but they haven't really much done anything this year. Are the Chargers, I'm not saying tanking, but are they just holding back on before they really pull out the big guns for next year? They're just kind of building and stacking?
It does feel odd that they're just kind of there. You don't really, no one talks about them. They just kind of mention them. Hey, look, the Chargers played. What are they, 4-3? Right?
Yeah.
Right now? They have a
Chargers,
positive record, but it's not a great.
Yeah, they're 4-3.
But that Jim Harbaugh style of play is alive and well.
That's the thing. I guess that's what I'm waiting to see really come out. I'm expecting something, and I'm not seeing it. And I guess that's why I kind of question the Chargers. Because, again, I like Justin Herbert. I think Jim Harbaugh's a really good coach. But whatever they're supposed to meld and make, it's just not showing up.
It's not there yet. It took him a second at Michigan to get everything going. It was only on the 49ers when Jim Harbaugh came in, and then immediately they went from 6-10 to the NFC Championship.
Yes, it makes sense. Expectations
really
were high.
That was wild.
It was a complete turnaround,
Giants.
especially considering what they were before.
We should have won the Super Bowl.
Oh, well, hey, speaking of who should have won, talk about opportunities. Let's go into next week's set of games. Kind of get a good rundown on all of these. Let's just run through them, see what they all look like, and see who we have winning.
Week 9?
Yeah, week 9 of the NFL schedule. Let me just. So,
Start with tonight.
yeah, we got to start with tonight's game. Thursday night thriller. Houston Texans versus the New York Jets. The Jetropolitans at home having to salvage this train wreck dumpster fire of a season. While the Houston Texans, not necessarily showing the bright lights that they were showing last year, still signs of life being the only team at the top of their top of their division. It's a weak division, but they're still on top. Who do you have winning this one?
The Jets are beyond on life. This is it. I don't know what kind of speech they need to hear. If you go 2-7, it's over. You're 2-6 right now, which is already you're at death's door. You go 2-7, the season's over. That's it. You're not recovering. You have to win.
From a realistic standpoint, yeah, but real quick, to a realistic standpoint, even if they were to win this game, they're still too far out to make any real change in anything, right?
Oh, they'd have to run the table. Just to be considered to make the playoffs.
That ain't happening.
No, because I'm looking at their schedule. I can tell you that's not going to happen. So they're going to lose. Texans, I think, win this one 24-17. If they get that much. 24-13. Now, the Texans are missing Stephon Diggs. He's out for the rest of the season.
Yep.
And Nico Collins, I don't know if he's 100% yet. So the two of their wide receivers are down.
Ooh.
But you know what that means? That Tank Dell stock is up. Dalton Schultz is up. Joe Mixon is up.
All the way up. All right. So you like the Texans going into this
like
one?
the Texans, yeah.
All right. Well, keeping it close to Dallas, but not exactly. I mean, close to Texans. Next up is going to be the Dallas Cowboys at Atlanta versus the Falcons. The Cowboys also struggling this year, not having a lot going for themselves. Although the Falcons, on the opposite end of the spectrum, show a little bit of an upside. They're sitting at 5-3, looking good as it can be. But who do you have winning this game?
Based on how they've currently been playing, I can easily see someone saying the Falcons win this one clean. Falcons have a better team. Cowboys are struggling. That being said, I've seen this same Kirk Cousins with a team that was outperforming the Cowboys, play the Cowboys, and he lost 40-3. So this is a tough call. This game's in Atlanta?
Yeah, it's in Atlanta.
This game's in Atlanta. Cowboys can't stop the run. Cowboys can't run the ball. Atlanta has a better line.
I just want to point out Atlanta's pass defense is second.
God.
I'm sorry, not second. I'm sorry. No, they're not second. They're 17th. They're 17th.
Okay, mid. So they're mid.
Yeah, very mid. They're not a great pass defense.
But they do have Jesse Bates. Who is arguably the best corner or safety. I forget which position he plays. Don't flame me for that.
They're pretty mid team in general because even their offensive pass defense. I'm sorry, pass defense ain't that great either.
Yeah, but if they have Jesse Bates on CeeDee Lamb, which he probably will be, that's going to limit CeeDee. He might not get the 17 targets that he gets per game. So I don't know. This is not shaping up to be a good game for the Cowboys.
Based on their season, I feel like you say that about so many of their games.
I feel like this is Kirk Cousins throws for 400 yards.
Ooh.
With Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Ray McLeod might get in on the action. I think the Falcons win this one.
This sounds like a feasting type of ordeal. Sounds like if you have a fantasy player, you may want to go ahead and put them in if they play for the Falcons in that case.
Kirk Cousins made Kyle Pitts relevant again. Right? I can't knock him for that.
You know what? You say again. The last time he was relevant is when he got drafted. Because since then, he's kind of been on a no-name show, just a nobody. Who's Kyle Pitts?
The number 4 pick in his draft. But what did Arthur Smith do? Let's throw a screen to Jonnu Smith. I'll never see it coming.
Did they see it coming? I didn't see it coming.
No, they didn't.
Oh. All right, so the next game we have after that is going to be the Denver Broncos heading over to Baltimore to face the Ravens.
This underrated game could end up being the game of the week. Except for one. But we'll get to that.
No, yeah,
this might be the AFC game of the week. Okay. It's not going to be the NFC game. But Bo Nix. Shout out to Bo Nix. Because he was not hyped as much as he should have been coming out of this draft. And he is playing very well.
A lot better than most people give him. Bo Nix is at 1,530 yards for 8 TDs. That ain't too bad of a showing overall. The Broncos are sitting at 5-3 along with the Ravens. So it really is improving. Talk about Sean Payton being an offensive guru and everything. I don't know. Well, like I said, who do you have coming out of this? Actually, we can go to that yet.
Broncos have a better defense, but the Ravens have a better offense.
Number one rushing.
So the real question is, can the Broncos stop Derrick Henry? If they can limit Derrick Henry and force Lamar to do it himself, or pass to Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, Zay Flowers, DeAndre Johnson, there's a lot of people to throw the ball to. And on the other side of that coin, who's Bo Nix throwing the ball to?
Courtland Sutton. Yeah, Courtland Sutton.
Who are the other receivers? That's the thing. I don't really know. I don't really know the other receivers.
Oh, well, I'm gonna look into that real quick because one of the things I want to keep in mind is that you talk about Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is the current league leader in rushing. So
And Lamar
definitely have that
is
going for him.
top five in passing, and I believe he's top 10 in rushing.
So yeah, you have Javante Williams, Little Jordan Humphrey. Is it Little Jordan Humphrey? Okay.
Is it?
Well, yeah, Little Jordan Humphrey. That's exactly how it's spelled. I'm a
That
sports
is
reference.
gross.
Devon Bailey and Jaleel McCullen. These are your receivers. Well, he's actually a running back. And
These
Javante Williams is a
Madden
running back
generated
too.
players you're talking about.
Oh, look at that player, number 13. That's what we're doing. He's throwing it to number 13 and number 85.
But this is what Sean Payton wanted. He's thriving. He's doing better than Russell did here. He's doing better than Drew Lock did here. I can't be mad at it.
I mean, it's working out for him.
But
You
I
got
don't
the
think they can
Broncos
beat
with
the
you? Oh, you got the
No.
Ravens. Definitely.
I'm counting on the two-time MVP, Super Bowl winning coach, and rushing leader from last year. Thank you.
That's a hell of a combination when you put it out in that type of format. Like that
That's what they
almost
are.
sounds like a team they shouldn't be losing, but you know,
Defense,
the
man.
game is played on the field.
Defense wins championships.
You're right about that. Offense is supposed to win you games, though. But
It does. Look at the Cowboys.
well, moving on to the next one. We got the Miami Dolphins division matchup going against the Buffalo Bills. Miami. What a resurgence of their newly reinstated quarterback Tua coming back from a concussion again. Setting the world on fire, putting Tyreek Hill and everyone back on the map. Even giving Raheem Mostert some reason to live again. Against the Buffalo Bills, who we just finished talking about, having their run as well. But who do you like going into this?
The Bills had the momentum. Tua did come back. Had Tua come back and they had won, I'd be more confident in it. But you come back and you lose to the Cardinals.
It's 1 point, though. 1
But
point.
they lost. And
1
they were
point.
at home.
1 point.
You have Tyreek Hill, Devon Chan, Jalen Waddle, Raheem, the fastest four guys arguably on one team. You can't win?
And Tua.
Ironically, this is the second time the Cardinals have defeated an offense that runs the San Francisco style offense by 1 point. They did it to us too.
So you got the.
Is this game in Miami or is this game in Buffalo? That's what I was going to answer.
Oh, Buffalo.
Oh, the Bills are winning.
Cold weather. Don't trust the
Cold
Dolphins
weather.
in the cold weather temperatures.
With these two teams, whichever one team is the home team, they have the advantage. Because when the Bills go down there, they always complain that their side of the field is too hot.
All right. Well, you know what? I actually want to take this a little bit back. Let's go back to your power ranking for a second. I don't think you had either of these teams in your power ranking, did you?
I'm pretty sure the Bills were there.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. Let me just straight ask you the question then. On a neutral field, who do you think is the better team in their current setup?
Between the Bills and the Dolphins?
Yes.
I got to go with the Bills. They have a better quarterback. They don't have better wide receivers. But neither do the Chiefs. They don't have a better running back. Neither do the Chiefs. They do have a better defense. Just like another team. That's who they have to beat to win. They have to beat the Chiefs by playing like that. It's a different argument. But on a neutral field, no, he's not. But he's better than Tua.
Yeah, that's true. I'll give you that.
I'm not worried about Tua taking off and for 30 yards and jumping over somebody. But Josh Allen could do that on any play. Bills win on the neutral field.
All right, so in the next game, NFC division rival again. We're going to have to travel to Carolina and have the Saints take on the Panthers. This is another game that is just, it's on. We might as well look at it type ordeal. You have the Saints who's actually favored to win this game, considering that both of these teams are equally bad. But who do you have coming out of this merciful affair? Hopefully it's a tie.
You mean to tell me you are not excited about Spencer Rattler versus Bryce Young?
Who?
Oh, come on.
No.
Man.
Well, okay, first, I guess Bryce Young is playing because Andy Dalton, fortunately or unfortunately, has sprained his thumb. I don't know.
sprained
Um,
his thumb.
yeah, he got tough. That's a get out of jail free card as far as I'm concerned. Because who wants to quarterback this team? The Panthers are a dumpster fire. Talk about Will yourself. Been just garbage for the last 6 years. They trade off a last set of their good players, all for a quarterback who's still developing. How do you want your quarterback to develop under a team that's undeveloped? This is just a perfect disaster of another team who is not in it to win it, but just trying to sell
Yeah.
tickets. But you can't even do that because you don't have an attraction for people to come see.
Right. The only thing you can sell is the other team.
Coming in. Because what? We're in South Carolina. You got the Chiefs coming up pretty soon. If you and me even go to that game, it's just to see Patrick Mahomes run rickshaw on the Panthers.
We're going to see Adam Thielen on the Panthers.
I want to see Andy Reid coach with his what is it menu
Oh,
that he
his
uses.
Waffle House menu.
Yeah, Waffle House menu, Cheesecake Factory menu. That's what I was looking for.
And then now they're putting Bryce Young back out there, and they just took away one of the receivers. He doesn't have Deontay Johnson anymore.
Yeah, I know. He doesn't have anyone. But they also go to the whole point. Even if they took away what other receiver? Well, forget that. Let's go back to the quarterback. What other QB could they throw out there besides Bryce Young? They don't have anyone else on that team anyway.
You'd have to trade for somebody.
Yeah, they would, because they literally have no other person on that roster.
Unless you're gonna pick up a free agent. Joe
That's just Andy
Flacco.
Dalton and Bryce Young. Uh,
Jameis Winston's
I don't know. Jameis Winston's too busy trying to eat them W's. Get that team marching down the field.
Well, Mason Rudolph is busy.
Yeah, he's on the Titans.
Trying to think who else is a solid. Where's Mitch Trubisky at?
Let me see if I can pull up all the free agents. Here we go.
Surely a Nick Mullins or a Mitch Trubisky has to be out there somewhere. That seems unfair to Mitch Trubisky. My apologies.
Say that about him. Well, no, Sam Darnold's taken. He's taken.
Yeah.
He's taken. Well, not 2025.
Hey, Ryan Tannehill's still out there.
Ryan Tannehill is still out there. No one has Ryan Tannehill yet.
I don't think so. Is he on the Dolphins? No, he's not on the Dolphins.
Available. That's what I'm looking for. No, Ryan Tannehill. He's technically he's available. Brian Hoyer's out there. Blaine Gabbert, AJ McCarron, Matt Barkley, Trevor Simeon. Wow, that's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Yeah, he was just used on the Jets, last year, the year before?
He's still affiliated with them, but I mean, they can take him right now. He is available.
Where's Tyrod
That's
Taylor?
it. Wait, I think he was actually playing with someone. Tyrod's still probably recovering from when they tried to kill him over in
Oh, no.
San Diego or
Yeah.
in Chargers.
Punctured his
Jets.
his lung.
Oh, he's on the Jets.
He is on the Jets. What about Nick Foles?
Okay, well, why not? Nick Foles. Let's look him up. I don't think he'll be any good to anyone either. He is. He's out there. No, he's out there. He's not retired. He was with the Colts, but he's just out there. Yeah, he's not really affiliated with any team. Nobody wants Nick Foles.
Is he done? Is he finished?
Listen, he had a really good run. He had a really good run, but to ask if he's done, he went on the most fortunate run any QB can go on for them to not be a star QB. If he steps away, look, retire in Philadelphia. There you are made man. You never have to pay for a meal again.
Man had one of the best 5-game stretches you will ever see.
Right? And on top of that, his debut, he threw for like 7 touchdowns against the Raiders. So he had a hell of a debut. He had a hell of a championship run. Yeah, I mean, cap it off. Like,
undefeated against Tom Brady.
For what it's worth. A lot of things he could walk away saying. Look at that.
He played him. He beat him in the Super Bowl as an Eagle. And then he beat him when he was the backup on the Bears and Brady was on the Buccaneers. That was the game where Brady forgot it was 4th down.
Oh, I remember that game.
Yeah.
You look like 4? You sure? Not 3?
Huh?
It was 4?
It was the game over.
Brady been playing this game for 20 years. How you losing count already?
And then what did he do? He ran off the field. Didn't shake Nick Foles' hand.
No,
He said he's never shaken his hand.
So soft. All right, well, wait. Who do you have winning this game? The Jets. I'm sorry, the Saints and the Panthers. Who did you pick?
Oh, the Saints. I'm not picking the Panthers to win it. The Saints' defense is still better than anything that the Panthers are throwing out there.
That may be true, but
they had 5 good players. They had Christian McCaffrey, gone. DJ Moore, gone. Brian Burns, gone. Deontay Johnson's gone. I am waiting on someone to take J.C. Horn. All right, he's the last one.
I was thinking, hey, they at least won one game. They could probably win a second one, but now the Panthers
Last year,
dumpster fire.
they won 2 games. Both of them were at last-second field goals.
Amazing. Oh, okay. Well, moving on to the next game. Got a next game. Patriots versus the Titans of Tennessee. You still got Will Levis out there. You got Joey Brissett, who's going to be starting for the Patriots, I believe, coming into this game. I feel like this game can kind of go either way. Right now, the favorite is on the Titans, but the Titans have been a favorite for quite a few games this year, and they can't ever seem to close out the second half. They are an awful second half team. I don't know if they could win a game. If the games were only done in the first and second quarter, the Titans would legitimately be undefeated right now. But that's not how football is played. Oh, will Gerard Mayo have the Patriots do what the Patriots do, come to Tennessee and stake their claim, or the Titans taking their house back?
If Drake May can clear concussion protocol, the Patriots could win this game. If Jacoby Brissett has to play, the Titans are winning this game. The Titans have a far better defense, and the Patriots' defense is nothing to sneeze at. But Jacoby Brissett, we've seen what he can do, and we've seen what he can't do. And unfortunately, if this game is Will Levis versus Jacoby Brissett, I think this is going to be the most memeable game of the week. And it's not going to be fun.
I do want to put out there right now, Will Levis is listed with a shoulder injury. So he's not guaranteed to fully start. You may see Mason Rudolph back out there again.
Mason Rudolph started the game okay against Detroit. It just fell apart after that.
Oh, fell apart pretty big at the end. 52-14.
250 yards on special teams. That's crazy.
I gotta say, if you're a defensive player and you put your heart into stopping someone, you get them out to a point where they're well beyond the 50-yard line. We're talking like right in their 20. And all of a sudden, your punt team just cannot seem to stop them from gaining these yards back out. And here they are midfield again. Like, that's got to be demoralizing to the defense. You can't stop on offense. You can't get the special teams.
And whenever the Chargers had Daniel Tomlinson, that was them.
Yeah.
Great offense. Fantastic offense. Stifling defense. Worst special teams in the league.
And that was a hell of a team. You're talking about LT, LaDainian Tomlinson. They had Phillip Rivers. They had Antonio Gates. Couldn't make a Super Bowl. Special teams was the hardest thing against them.
It's like, I get if you start off the year that bad, but how do you stay that bad? You don't fix anything in practice? You don't change anything?
At some point, I think the thing you need to change is, I guess, the coaching scheme. Because, these are the same players who are playing on your offense, too. Is somewhere down the line, your special teams coach is just not getting them in the position they need to be there at their best. I don't know how they fall apart.
Because that's what happened the last season. Rodgers won MVP for the Packers. That's why they lost to us in the playoffs. They had the worst special teams in the league.
That can come back and bite you so many ways. I don't care how bad the team is. Your special teams can't bite you.
They lost that playoff game because we blocked a punt and scored a touchdown on it.
Makes sense. All right,
and that currently, I'm worried about my team's special teams, but that's a different conversation.
We'll get to them. Well, not this week at least. We'll get to them next week.
Who is it? Patriots are going to lose to the Titans if Jacoby Brissett plays.
All right, so Jacoby Brissett plays. Patriots lose, but it's Drake May comes in. Okay.
He might win.
All right, well, right now Drake May is not listed to play, so we'll go ahead and chalk this up.
Concussion protocol, yeah. I got the Titans winning this game. Defense is better.
Now, just staying on that, the concussion protocol, that can change game day, right? Or does that?
If he clears it, if he's okay tomorrow, and then on Sunday morning he passes the test, he's fine.
All right. Well, we'll see how that plans out.
He just has to be able to practice tomorrow.
Well, let's go Jacoby.
Right.
Anyway. Well, moving on to the next game, we have the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh my God.
This will be in Cincinnati. The Bengals are sitting at 3-5, while the Raiders are mightily struggling at a 2-6. Right now, the Bengals are favored to win this game.
Yeah, I can see why.
Yeah, right. Who do you got winning it though?
I would like to say the Bengals, but their defense is garbage.
Oh, garbage.
It is bad. They don't stop anything. You know, they're one of two teams who have not won at home all season.
Really? Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't know
the other,
that.
you know who the other team is?
Oh,
It's the New York Giants.
oh, well, of course it is. Of course, it's a New York team on top of that.
New York Giants and the New York Jets have like the worst home record. They have not thrown hardly any touchdowns in their home stadium. But no,
Oh, wow.
that is the problem with the Bengals. But this is the Raiders we're talking about. No Devontae Adams, no solid quarterback play. They don't have a solid rusher really. Their defense is decent, but Max Crosby's having problems with the defensive coach. The head coach is being petty online. This team has bad vibes. Bengals are going to win. Joe Burrow's going to look great. He's going to have a great like MVP style performance. Everyone's going to be like, "Are we sleeping on Joe Burrow?" And then next week they're going to lose, and they'll be like, "Oh no, we're not."
It does kind of feel like some people are sleeping on Joe Burrow. And again, it's mainly because the Bengals don't have a great record coming into this, but you're right. The Raiders, they are coming in limping. They don't have much of a team themselves. They don't have an identity right
They
now.
don't.
They are just living off of a history of what they used to be. I feel like Gardner Minshew, I don't know what he's going to do for you. I feel like the Raiders are just kind of pacing themselves to be the worst team in the league. They're going to be right there with the Panthers and in some cases.
And that's why they should be selling Max Crosby. But Max Crosby's on this whole "I'm a Raider for life," so he doesn't want to go anywhere.
Oh, I hear you.
Stupid.
I mean, I guess the money's good. Maybe he just likes gambling in Vegas. I don't know
No.
what else it could be at this point.
The only thing that makes me happy about that is the fact that Max Crosby's on the Raiders, which means there's no possibility he goes to Kansas City unless they.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not going to do any type of division. All right, so going into the next set of games, we have staying in the AFC West and the AFC North. You get the Chargers going up to Cleveland to face Jameis, famous Amos Wilson. I love Jameis Winston.
Jameis Winston is a likable guy. You know, some things off the field, maybe not so much, but on the field, he's a good dude. I like him. He's weird. He's got weird motivational techniques, but hey, they seem to work. I'll eat a W if it gets the job done. I will.
Can't argue with the results. I can't argue with the results.
But that Chargers defense is also not any real thing to play with. They kind of just don't let you do much. But that's Jim Harbaugh's style. He kind of keeps you in one spot. He'll force you to do the one thing you don't want to do when you play. So if you favor the run game, he's going to force you to throw it. And if you favor the throw, he's going to make you beat him on the ground. Can the Browns do that?
Well, I feel like that's kind of the recipe for the Browns to do. I feel like they're capable of kind of doing both in a sense. Jameis ain't a bad passer, and they
No,
have a
he's
decent
not.
run game. I think that in itself could make it a fascinating game. In fact, you talk about this even more. This may be a game to watch just from the spectacle of how are the Chargers going to adjust, because this ain't Deshaun Watson anymore.
No, it's
They
not.
didn't, they weren't winning really much when he was in there.
No.
And I don't know, maybe just like Jameis enough that I feel like this could be a changer.
They did just smack the Ravens in the mouth. All right. That did
Right?
happen.
And the Ravens are a hell of a team. So that's a pretty big thing to consider. Also, who are the Chargers coming off of playing? They're coming off of their win against the Saints.
They did beat the Saints. And what's his name? Lad McConkey. He had a game where he had like 2 touchdowns, 100-something yards, and I didn't play him in fantasy. He had like 35 points on my bench. It's all right, though.
I do want to point this out about the Chargers. The Chargers do have themselves a nice record. What are they sitting at? 4-3. But mind you, here are the 3 teams they lost to: the Steelers, the Chiefs, and the Cardinals. Here are the teams they beat:
Interesting.
the Raiders, the Panthers, the Broncos, and the Saints. So they're beating the bad teams and they're losing against the good teams.
And Broncos aren't a terrible team, but they probably played them early, from what I'm guessing.
Yeah, week 6. 3 weeks ago. And they were coming off a bye, mind you.
The Chargers.
Coming out to bye to play the Broncos. So that was their bye week. After losing to the Chiefs the week before.
This favors the Browns. The Browns are a better team, and it sounds like teams with like at least a decent defense are going to give the Chargers trouble. So Steelers have a solid defense. Chiefs have a solid defense. I don't know how they lost to the Cardinals. I don't know what that's all about. But
Oh, we
sometimes the
got to deep
Cardinals
dive
do
the
that.
Cardinals.
Sometimes the Cardinals just pull a win out of their ass and you don't know where it comes from, and then they just go back to being the Cardinals.
No, you're right about that. So we're going to get to the Cardinals pretty soon because they are an interesting team to
It's a
watch.
fascinating topic. Specifically, I just want to go on record to say I don't think the Cardinals are a bad team. I think they were an unfocused team.
That's a good way to put it.
As far as
I mean,
I want to go on record
yeah,
and
go
say the
ahead.
worst team in the NFC West is the Seahawks. That's who it is.
Oh,
They're the worst
really?
team. Yeah. If all four teams are at full
Are
strength,
healthy?
the Seahawks
Yeah.
are the worst team.
How are you going to sit there and disrespect the passing leader in Geno Smith? The guy has thrown more yards than your favorite quarterback.
He is top. He's leading right now. He's number one. He is number one. Brock Purdy is in the top five. I'll give you that. But Geno is number
That's
one. But that's because they don't run the ball. They have Kenneth Walker and they're not running him. He's being wasted. Oh, I want him to lead the division for multiple reasons. Because one, he's good. Two, he's underutilized. So his legs are still somewhat fresh. But if he does do well, I want him to do it outside of the NFC West. Because he's not coming to our team. They
Who
have
you
him
helping?
and Zach Charbonnet. The Cardinals have a solid roster. The Rams, when healthy, have a solid roster. So it's not a bad division. It looks like it right now, but it's one of those we're also kind of beating each other divisions because we beat the Seahawks. Cardinals
Yeah,
beat
right.
us. Rams beat us. I think the Cardinals beat the Rams. Rams haven't played the Seahawks yet, so that has to still happen.
A lot of those divisional games usually kind of happen at the end of the year. It's going to be fascinating to see who comes out on top of that division because it is a close race.
I am really fascinated on who's going to be the wild cards in the NFC this year. Because I think there's going to
Ooh.
be some really good teams that are forced to be in the wild card only because there's a team in their division that's just that much better. Specifically speaking, like the Commanders and the Eagles, they're right there with each other, but only one of them can win the division.
Well, you mentioned them. Let's go straight to them. We talk about the Commanders. Oh, hold on. Who do you have? You got the Browns winning against the Chargers?
Yes, I had the Browns winning the
Okay.
division.
Well, like I said, sticking with the Commanders and the Eagles that you mentioned, let's talk about the Commanders because they will be heading up to
Ooh.
Jersey, playing in that awful field that everyone gets hurt on, but be Giants this time around. The Commanders versus the New York hapless Giants.
Oh,
I'm saying hapless
they
because
are
I don't
happy.
even know who they're going into the game with. That's going to be any threat. But who do you have winning?
Now, the vibes in Maryland and DC are immaculate right now. They are coming off the Hail Mary win. That was an emotional, big time moment where the top two rookies in the class played each other. Jaden was number two, but he came out on top. This is the kind of game a team could drop. This is very much the kind of game a team that is unfocused, a rookie team. They don't really know how to handle the win yet. They could go right into MetLife and lose. Except it's MetLife and it's the New York Giants. The Washington Commanders are going to win. Daniel Jones
Oh,
has thrown, I think, less than 2 touchdowns in his own stadium. I think it might still be 0 in his
let me
own
take a look
house
and
this
see.
year.
This year, let me
This
take
year.
a look at the Giants and see, because I am now curious about that. Hold on, let me bring that up to a bigger page. Danny Dimes. Did they pay the wrong man? Yeah, they paid the wrong
Yeah,
person. That's not
100%
even a
they paid the
question.
wrong man. That's
Oh, Danny
100%.
Dimes this year. Daniel Jones. Nope.
Oh,
Yo,
the
you're
only
right.
one.
No touchdowns at home. He has touchdowns
Mhm.
on the road. Not a single touchdown on the road, unless you count interceptions. He's making
Yeah,
those.
he is making those, but the Seahawks win was on the road. They lost to the
Yep.
Bengals at home, and that was a running touchdown. They lost to the Eagles. They only scored 3 points. They lost to the Vikings. They only scored 6 points. They can't score at home. I don't know what it is. Daniel Jones can't pass touchdowns in his own stadium, but he can do it in anyone else's stadium. He scores. He has like 6 or 7 TDs on the road. So they're going to lose.
Oof.
Yeah, they're going
Let
to
me just
lose.
I just got to put this out here. Horrific. So, last game against Minnesota, 42 passing attempts, 22 completions,
Okay.
186 yards,
That's
zero
not bad.
touchdowns, two interceptions.
$40 million
The
a
guy,
year. 40 million.
oh, they could have put him on a franchise tag. They could have paid Shaquan Barkley, and then maybe, just maybe, you would have got a decent QB out of Daniel Jones.
This team made the playoffs with Saquon Barkley. This
Yeah, they
same
did, didn't
team
they?
This same team without Malik Neighbors made the playoffs with Saquon Barkley. That's ridiculous. And now you have to watch him be successful, not only in the same conference, but in your division. Yeah, Commanders win.
Awful.
Commanders win. They're going to be, 7-2. It's going to be time to start considering them a legitimate playoff / Super Bowl contender. Like a legitimate, not just a first round bye.
Ooh, okay. Ooh, really?
7-2?
Okay. Yeah, I hear you.
I mean, okay.
Yeah,
Who have they lost to? They lost to the Ravens.
Oh yeah, let's pull it up here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got their schedule right here. They is this the first game? They lost to Tampa Bay. That's
Yeah,
week one. They lost to
yeah,
Tampa
that was
Bay.
week one.
That's right. So they beat the Giants, they beat the Bengals, they beat the Cardinals, they beat the Browns, they lost to the Ravens, they beat the Panthers, they beat Chicago. They aren't going in with the best first place record. Now I'm going to give you the second half. They will be playing the Steelers. That doesn't. I don't know. I got the Steelers. They're going to be playing the Eagles.
Yeah, I was gonna say
they're going to play the Eagles in Philly. Ooh,
that's going to be a very interesting game. The Commanders Eagles is going to be very interesting offensively.
Looking at the rest of the schedule, isn't that difficult because they're going to be playing Dallas and the Titans, and then going into a bye week. They could possibly only lose from this point now, maybe 2 games.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the rest of their schedule. And if you're going to ask me on the spot what I think the rest of their schedule is going to look like, I say they lose to the Steelers. They split with the Eagles. They could sweep the Cowboys for like the first time in a long time. If Micah Parsons comes back, though, I'm going to be generous. I say they split with the Eagles. They split with the Cowboys. And they lose to the Steelers. I don't see them losing any other game.
Yeah, I think they do look pretty good.
They can beat the Falcons, depending on who shows up for Tennessee. They can beat the Titans, and depending on how the Cowboys play, they could get swept. And I can see them beating the Falcons.
They could, yeah. This could actually be a really hell of a year.
This
could be what? Like I said,
this could be a 13-4 team, maybe 12.
Could be.
Could be a 12-5 team.
They could possibly win the division. I don't see them necessarily. I don't know. I'm still on the fence of them winning a playoff game because I got to see what they play in the playoffs. My question will be, of course, like every other QB who comes into the league, who are they going to look like next year? This year, I'm not. You only can play the teams in front of you, but I'm still going to say it's a cupcake schedule.
Yeah, they got
this ain't the toughest thing. So I'm curious to see what they look like next year. This year's looking really good, but I want to see moving forward.
The biggest cause of concern for me is the fact that Jaden Daniels took one good hit to the side and he was out of the game.
Yeah.
That was his one big thing coming in, is that he might be just a little too fragile. Now, they said the same thing about Lamar, and he bulked up a little bit because Jaden also likes to run. And we've seen what happens to quarterbacks in Washington who like to run if they don't really take care of themselves.
Mind you, non-contact play, RG3. How we miss you.
That was Kyle Shanahan's offense, by the way.
All right. So what I was saying, of course, we got the Commanders. Just didn't even have to bring that
Commanders
up.
win, yeah. Giants at home is basically a loss. That's
well. Hey, we talked about the Commanders. Talk about who they played last week. It was Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams will be going to face Kyler Murray, the Cardinals in Arizona. This will be a hell of a matchup in my view. I don't know, man. I've seen the Cardinals this year. I like how they're playing. I like the Cardinals, but what do you say?
Unfortunately, as much as I don't like praising my division rivals, I will give Kyler Murray and the Cardinals their credit. Kyler Murray, when he plays well, you realize why he was number one. He has a hell of an arm for a dude, especially a dude not that big. He's not a very big player. He can chuck that ball like 60, 70 yards downfield, and he might be able to throw it up and catch it himself because he's that fast.
He's that fast.
He runs like a kid who stole his mother's phone, but boy, is he hard to catch when he takes off, man.
You know, a lot of people say that, but sure enough, if you see Kyler Murray run, he does look like a toddler running around the house with your car keys that you're trying to get to work. He does look like a kid.
Fast. Dude, when he played us, first drive of the game, he took off for a 50-yard touchdown run. He knew he had the run when he was at the 40. He put his hand up, and he was not even touched, and we just couldn't catch him. Man, but the Bears also have a decent defense because, yes, while they did lose on a Hail Mary which you could argue is because their defender wasn't focused.
Paying attention, yeah.
They did limit prior to that Hail Mary. They had Washington limited to 12 points the entire game. This was an offense that liked to score, and they kept them in check for most of the game. That being said, the Bears defense is better than the Cardinals defense, but Kyler Murray is arguably better than Jaden Daniels they faced because Jaden is still a rookie. We don't know his limits. We don't know how high or low he can go. We know what Kyler looks like when he plays his best. I think the Bears could be in trouble here. Bears could get a sneaky loss to the Arizona Cardinals. Now, personally, I want the Bears to win because it helps my team out, but I don't see them winning. I see Kyler edging out a win just like he did against Miami because on paper, Miami was a better team. On paper, Chicago was a better team. On paper, the 49ers were a better team and they lost. So I think that's history is going to repeat itself. Cardinals win. It's going to be close. 24-22, 24-21 Cardinals win.
That's the thing about football. It's never played on paper, only on the field. I like that. All right. Going to the next game here. We have Duval, Jacksonville Jaguars. Rampaging their way up to face the Philadelphia Eagles. City of brotherly love. Right now in this game, of course, as you can imagine, the Eagles are definitely favored to win. Well, why wouldn't they be, right? Especially since it's in Philadelphia. However, the Jaguars, I don't know, Trevor Lawrence, could he be considered the most disappointing QB in the league considering all the hype they went around him? Or could this be the game that Trevor Lawrence comes out and be like, listen, don't bury me yet. I still have a little in the ammo. He technically has more touchdowns than Jalen Hurts this year. Who you got winning?
He does technically have more touchdowns than Jalen Hurts, but they also have just an abysmal defense. It's bad. Caleb Williams, the same one who just only scored 15 on Washington, who also doesn't have the greatest defense. He scored 4 touchdowns on the Jaguars like it was nothing. There's no way, unless the Eagles just show up as the bad Eagles like they were at the end of last year, there's no way they lose this game. They're not losing. A.J. Brown, Saquon Barkley, Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts, they're not losing this game. This is going to be, you want a hot take? I'll give you a hot take. Not only is Trevor Lawrence one of the most disappointing quarterbacks this year, I'd argue he's one of the most disappointing number 1 picks in the past 10 years.
Wow. Disappointing picks in the last 10 years. You standing on that business.
For number 1 picks, he might be the most disappointing one. Because if we go back 10 years, what was that? Just Clowney, I think, in 2014?
Oh, yeah. You want me to pull up the draft? I can pull up the draft. We got a little bit of time. Let me go ahead and pull up the number 1 picks in the draft.
Because I can tell you right now, some of them are already better than him. Joe Burrow, Baker Mayfield, Myles Garrett. I think these guys are all number 1s.
Make sure I get all the phrasing correct. I'm going to use Google for this instead of go. Give me a moment. You can just fill this in.
There you go.
Void of time. NFL number 1 picks, all in history. So, yeah, okay, here we go. You said last 10 years, we're in 2024. Yeah. So you have Clowney, Jameis Winston, Jared Goff, Myles Garrett, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, Travon Walker, Bryce Young.
And Caleb Williams.
Well, most recently, that's right, Caleb Williams.
Oof, you could say Bryce Young. You could say Bryce Young. But again, Bryce Young was put on a worse team than Trevor was. I would argue that Panthers team was worse than the team that Trevor was put on in 2021 because he also had Travis Etienne come in with him. All right. Who does Bryce Young have to throw the ball to besides an aging Adam Thielen? He has a rookie.
I'll be honest with you. The only reason I wouldn't count Bryce Young because what's the second year?
Yeah.
Third year of this, maybe. So that's why I wouldn't count. Yeah, I look at this list. You said in the last 10 years. I think that's you say it's a hot take. I don't know. It ain't the worst take, considering when you look at that lineup.
I mean, Clowney has been he's still in the league. He's still playing. Jameis Winston, still playing. He's not a starter. Well, currently he is, but, Jared Goff's been to the Super Bowl, and he's on arguably the best team in the NFC, if not the league right now. Myles Garrett. Yeah. Baker Mayfield has had a resurgence. He does have, even without his 2 top wide receivers, he's still in contention. Kyler Murray's leading his division as we speak. Joe Burrow's been to the Super Bowl. What has Trevor Lawrence done besides his one game against the Chargers, which you could argue was the Chargers chargering more than anything else?
Hey, it's a playoff win. That's
That
more than
is
what I
true.
guess some QBs can say. Yeah, Trevor Lawrence has been a very disappointing addition. Of course, you know me, I don't care. Jacksonville, they can
Right.
suck it. But overall, they have not been the team that a lot of people thought they were. Brought in Urban Meyer because you figure Urban Meyer could take a young prospect like this coming out of college and make the whole thing work out. Well, that was a complete waste.
He
Nothing
was
transpired with Urban Meyer.
he was kicking
Then,
players. He was
all right, kicking the kicker. Like, come on, who do you think you are? Sitting here showing his
national
college
title.
championship ring.
Yeah.
Dude, that means nothing in the
It
NFL. I'm
literally
about to
means
show you
nothing.
I'll show you my fantasy football championship ring and be like, how the hell y'all gonna tell me I don't know what I'm doing?
Listen here, when
But
you win the title in NXT, it don't count when you go to the main roster. All right? It doesn't count.
look at here, man. I'm the OVW World Heavyweight Champion. How am I not at the head of the table?
You can bring your Impact Championship too, because it doesn't mean anything here.
What the hell is the Prince that was promised doing in the Impact Zone? But it ain't working out for them. I totally see where you're coming from. I
Now,
do not like Jacksonville, but
I do
go
want
ahead.
to ask you though,
Hmm.
based on the somewhat resurgence of Sam Darnold, based on the somewhat resurgence of Baker Mayfield,
Oh,
could that happen with Trevor? Do you think if he was sent somewhere else, he might have more success?
I mean, anything can happen. I'm not going to say no because yeah, look, Geno Smith, right? You put him on that list, and that guy was complete years after the whole Jets thing.
Yeah,
He's
they
finally
wrote him
getting
off.
resurgent. I mean, his when your own lineman punches you and breaks your jaw, it's really hard to sit there and be like, well, I don't know. This is the leader of the team, but Trevor Lawrence goes to a different organization, possibly. The only reason why I'm still on the possibly is because I don't know. Doug Peterson ain't a garbage coach. I figured
No,
this
he won
guy
the
was
Super
supposed
Bowl.
to be right. He's from the Andy Reid coaching tree. That was supposed to mean something. So I
It
don't know.
was.
Like, is it Jacksonville at this point? Are they just a
It,
bad organization?
it could be. I mean, the first year, I'm not going to knock Trevor as much for his first season because Urban Meyer was a dumpster fire. He was bad. He was bad all the way through. He was bad for the media. He brought in Tim Tebow. Why do you make your number one draft pick secondary to Tim Tebow? What is
Ooh,
wrong with
coming in
that?
as a tight end. He wasn't even
Correct.
coming as the starting tight end.
No,
When Tim Tebow got signed, he was the biggest talk that organization had.
terrible. But I'm not seeing it, Trevor. I'm not seeing a number one pick performance out of you. Now, granted, Sam Darnold wasn't a number one. He was number three in his draft. Baker Mayfield, they all left their teams, but they also left their conference. Baker went to the NFC. Darnold went to the NFC. Geno went to the NFC. Well, I'm thinking maybe Trevor Lawrence needs to come to the
He needs to go.
NFC.
Oh, okay.
But the
Well,
question then becomes where? Where would Trevor Lawrence go? That would actually be okay because anyone could say, well, put him in Carolina. That's not going to help him. That's going to be bad. It's going to be bad for Trevor. Now,
oh, you know what? Oh.
I will say I'm not on board for this. I'm just going to go on
Mhm.
record. But there were rumors saying that John Lynch was interested in Trevor Lawrence. And
Oh.
there was a small campaign on Twitter, and yes, I'm still calling it Twitter, to have the 49ers save Trevor Lawrence. Now, I don't want
Oh,
that to happen.
wow. 49ers saved Trevor Lawrence. Now Trevor Lawrence saved the Niners. Okay.
No, I don't see that
Hmm.
happening, but maybe the Seahawks could. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, you know what? You was talking about teams. Well, listen, I know they just signed this kid, but I would, if I'm the Giants, I don't know. I'll be looking at him.
There it
I'm like,
is.
I can't look at it. You know what? I know no, that ain't their problem. I want to say this Dallas, but that ain't what their issue is. QB is not their problem. They have a
It's
litany
not.
of issues, and it's skin deep.
I think if Dak had a solid run game right now, if you just gave him a runner that was reliable, I don't know who was available in the offseason. No, it wasn't any like big name running backs that they could have got or anything.
No, of course not.
Whatever.
It ain't like anyone. No, not a Derek or anyone is out there. Of course not. No.
7 million, Jerry. $7 million, and you could have had Derrick Henry on your team right now. 7 million.
Jerry
You
said
could
we're
have had Derrick.
fine.
You could have had Derrick Henry and Amari Cooper. Whatever. You know what? I'm not Jerry Jones. I don't run a multi-billion-dollar organization.
I'm
I'm
not
just a
sure
guy on the
Jerry
internet.
does. Expressing grievances. All right, well, so yeah, we got Philly winning that one. No
Easily.
surprise there. Why would they not? But hey, here it is. Your NFC game of the week,
Oh
folks. In fact,
man.
forget NFC. This is probably your game of the week. This will be the Detroit Lions.
Mm,
Who's going to sit here and head to Green Bay and eat some kneecaps and bite some ankles and tear off a couple of limbs? You
oof,
got the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions, both teams sitting well on top of their current division. Only one, though. Only one can stand. Who do you have coming out of it?
man. The Lions and the Packers. We still have to play both these teams, by the way. So,
Pretty sure you're not looking forward to it
oof.
right now.
I'm at this point, no, I'm not. But based on what I've seen out of both of them, the Lions are the team to beat. The Lions, for the first time, I think I can legitimately say they might be the best team in the league. I know the Chiefs are undefeated. The Lions only lost one game. They kill you in every aspect of the offense. They have two good running backs, at least two really good receivers, one superstar receiver, and at least several complimentary ones. They have a star tight end. They have the best O line in the NFC, and they have a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. The only thing that holds the Lions back, and I will continue to say it until he shows me otherwise, is Dan Campbell or Dan Gamble.
Gamble.
If Dan gambles too much, they can lose because they lost to the Packers last year. They did in Green Bay. No, that was in Detroit because that was on
Yep.
Thanksgiving. You know.
That was a game that a lot of people thought they should have won.
But this year, the Packers they've won a lot of games, but they've won some close games too. They just beat the Texans by a field goal, like a game-winning field goal. I don't know. Jordan Love's coming off an injury. I can't bet against the Lions. I'm taking the Lions on this one.
Taking the
I know
Lions.
it's in Green Bay, and I'm still taking Detroit. I think Detroit wins this
Ooh.
one. They just
All
put up
right.
52 points by previously putting up 47 points and previously putting up 42 points. I think in between
Yeah.
there, they beat Minnesota, knocking them off their undefeated streak with 31 points. They just keep scoring, and no one's stopping them from scoring. That's the thing. Who did they lose to? Who was the one team that beat them?
Oh, the Lions? Oh, I
Yeah,
just had this schedule in front of me. Oh, and I got it right here still. The one team they lost to was. Oh, sure. Hold on. Maybe I don't have it. There it is.
Buccaneers.
Yeah, it was the Bucks in no at Detroit. Not even in Tampa. It was at Detroit.
That was week 2. That was week. That was a long time ago.
And that coming off of the overtime when they had against the Rams, so they were
Yeah.
kind of just, I guess, figuring out things.
So no, I'm taking Detroit. They are right now the de facto team to beat, and any team in the NFC that wants to go to the Super Bowl is going to have to either go through them or hope someone else takes them out because
Avoid them
otherwise
altogether.
otherwise you can't avoid them. That's the thing. They're just too good at offense. Ugh, it's annoying.
Yeah. All right, that makes sense. As you can imagine, of course, the Lions are a favorite to win.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I like Detroit too. I want to pick Green Bay, but Detroit does look like a team that's on fire, and they're not even suffering from any form of injuries that's slowing them down to any significant degree
You know, there's an interesting
right
stat.
now.
When both Jameer Gibbs and David Montgomery score, they're undefeated.
Really?
Yep.
That is an interesting stat.
The last game that they lost, where both of them scored, was the NFC Championship.
Interesting. Something to keep in mind, especially if you're a
Mm,
better. Well, taking it from there, and we're going to move it back to the NFC West. This is an in-house divisional battle. It's going to be the Rams
mm,
going against the Seahawks in Seattle. Both teams still sort of fighting for a spot right now to make sure they're not in the doldrums of the bottom of the division.
yeah.
Although even you said the Seahawks are the worst team when both teams are healthy, the Rams will be coming to this game bloated again with their receivers, not having to deal with too many injuries. So who do you see having it?
I, as a Niner fan, hate this game because there's no real positive outcome for us here. If the Rams win, they jump us in the division because they have the tiebreaker over us. If the Seahawks win, they jump us in the division because they have a better
You're
record
the
than
Titans.
us.
So it's a
Ugh.
lose lose from that standpoint.
But I
Oh
would
boy.
rather the Seahawks win because it keeps the Rams with a losing record. It'll put the Rams at 3-5. But I don't see the Rams losing this game. Their offense is good. Kyron Williams has scored every game this year. They got Puka back. They got Cooper Kupp back. Seahawks defense is garbage. I don't know what they're doing. Mike McDonald, you had the Ravens at like number 1 last year. What is this? Like, I get it. He's missing a couple pieces. They can't stop the Rams offense. Sean McVay is better than Mike McDonald. Rams are going to win, I'd say 30 to like 17. It's not going to be particularly close. It'll start out close. Like at halftime, you're going to be like, oh man, this game is going to be close. It's going to be like 10-10. Everything's going to be great. And then the Rams are going to come out and it's going to look like the Niners Cowboys third quarter. Rams are going to win. Ugh, I hate it because it's our bye week. I would like the Seahawks to win. If the Seahawks pull out a win, I'll be happy. I'll put a clap up for them, but they're not. Matthew Stafford is better than Gene.
True. Interesting. All right. Well, hey, coming close to the Sunday night game.
Who is this Sunday night?
Ooh, this is going to be the Indianapolis Colts versus the Minnesota Vikings. It's not a great Sunday night game.
Is it the Joe Flacco Colts? Because if it's the Anthony Richardson Colts, well, congrats Vikings for winning on Sunday Night Football. But if it's Joe Flacco playing, oh man, this could be 3 in a row for Minnesota after starting 5-0, and they would officially start having the alarms go off.
I do believe that Joe Flacco will be starting. I think Anthony Richardson is benched for a good bit of the season unless something happens to Flacco. So I can't get any confirmation on it, but you never get this stuff confirmed until the night of the game. But I am going to go ahead and just say, oh, they have Anthony Richardson listed as a wrist injury. So he probably isn't playing, even though he has no real hurt. He had a full participation in practice, but I think they just benched him. Joe Flacco is taking the helm.
Joe Flacco's starting. I'll tell you something. If Joe Flacco plays, and it looks like he's going to, and if the Vikings stop blitzing for whatever reason, like they did against the Rams, they just, in the middle of the game, Flores just stopped blitzing Matthew Stafford, which is a terrible idea because he really thrives when he just let him just stand back there. If they stop blitzing, they're going to lose this game. That's what's going to happen. Joe Flacco is going to throw because what does Joe Flacco have to lose? He's just going to be out there chucking the ball like he did in Cleveland. He's going to be throwing the ball 40, 50 yards downfield just because he can. Josh Downs is going to have another big game on my bench because I never play him when he scores. But no, I think if Flacco wins, the Vikings lose. And the Vikings go 5-3, and they legitimately start being like, what the hell's happening? Because it's going to be very reminiscent to the Niners from last year. They started off 5-0, then they hit a 3-game skid, and then they turned it around.
Makes sense. I don't really see too much. As everyone's talking about the whole pumpkin watch, I don't expect too much from Sam Darnold in this game. I do think Joe Flacco may win. But me personally, I'm picking the Vikings. Vikings all the way. Suck it, Colts. I hope you lose every game going
That's
forward.
fair. No, I get it. Nah, I'm not mad at you.
I can afford to be biased. I don't care.
No, that's fair. I just showed my bias with the Rams Seahawks. It's okay. Hey,
all right. Well,
Vikings losing helps my team out too. That's kind of why I leaned in that direction too.
I get it. It is what it is, right? Well, that does bring us to the last game. The last game will be the Monday Nighter. This will be Chiefs prime time against Baker Mayfield and his receiver list. Now, he has receivers. Yeah. He just ain't got his top receivers.
That's going to cost him, yeah. No Mike Evans, no Chris Godwin. I like Baker this year. I do. They have actually performed pretty well. Chris Godwin became his favorite target. Mike Evans doing Mike Evans things, but with both of them out, even if both of them were in, they had a solid chance, but without them, unless the Chiefs make mistakes, they're not. Chiefs will be 8-0. Yeah.
Honestly, the Chiefs are rolling. I don't know what they're doing, but whatever it is, it's working. I don't want to say unstoppable, but they are right now on the verge of being considered unstoppable. I guess until they face another top-tier team. But right now, the Chiefs just look like a better choice to go with. You having to pick any team.
That's wild. Any team. Even when the Patriots went on their undefeated run in the regular season, they were still offensively like a powerhouse. Tom Brady threw 50 touchdowns that year. Patrick Mahomes hasn't even hit 10 yet, I don't think. And we're in mid-season.
Actually, let me take a look and see. 'Cause that's the thing
We're
about
in
it.
week 9.
Because Brady was breaking records. Mind you,
Yeah,
breaking records. While the Chiefs are just kind of, it really feels like they are just on an autopilot. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes, he has 8 touchdowns to 9 interceptions.
that's
We talk about,
insane.
it's funny that, because just take this for a second. We talked earlier about disappointing QBs. I brought up Dak Prescott and Aaron Rodgers. However, statistically, they are doing slightly better, if not better, than Patrick
Patrick
Mahomes.
Mahomes.
It's just Patrick Mahomes' teams is winning, so you can't call it a disappointment.
The thing is, we can't say Mahomes is being carried by his team because we've seen what Mahomes can do. That's the thing. If
Yeah.
this was like his first season as a starter, this would call everything into question. Be like, is he even any good? He's not doing well. The team's doing well. This man has won 3 Super Bowls. All right. He's won back-to-back Super Bowls. He's been MVP twice. He's been Super Bowl MVP twice. He's the fastest to reach 30,000 yards, the fastest to reach 100 touchdowns. This kid is insane. And he's playing like the most pedestrian quarterback in the league. It's
That's the
insane.
thing, right?
It's really weird. Travis Kelce just scored his first touchdown last week of the season. It was week
First of
8.
the season,
It was
right?
week 8.
And they
Oh,
still won pretty handily.
oh yeah. Because remember, this was the grudge game. Because remember before the season,
Uh,
the Raiders had that whole Kermit puppet that they were teasing their camp with that Patrick Mahomes, he said it'll get handled when it gets handled. So
like it. You went ahead and took care of business. 'Cause that is what
yeah.
Patrick Mahomes do. Let me
If
get
the
that for
if
you.
the Bucks had Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, this could have been a much more entertaining game. But it's going to be not for the lack of Baker's effort, because even last week against the Falcons, Baker had them in that game until the end, but they were just too strong on the other side.
And again, that's not even counting the newest addition to the Chiefs, which is DeAndre Hopkins. How much of a factor will he
And
be playing in this game coming into it? It's a lot that's boding well on now. I would love to see the upset special, especially on a Monday night,
right.
but I just can't bet against the Chiefs in this particular situation. Maybe any other team, but not with the Buccaneers the way they're looking right
No, no top tier wide receivers. They don't really have the best run game. They have a solid tight end game, which the Chiefs are susceptible to, but that was exposed last week against the Falcons. They went to Cade Otton. He had the best stat line he's had. The Chiefs aren't going to let him do that twice. So they ain't even let George Kittle do that. No, the Chiefs' next 2 games could be where they get their first loss. They got the Broncos next week and then the Bills after that. Both of those games could be where they lose. But after that, they got the Panthers, the Raiders, the Chargers could give them trouble. Then the
now.
Browns could be,
Mm.
and then the Texans and the Steelers. That's it. The last 3 games is going to be with your only other shot. Texans, Steelers, Broncos.
Yeah, you say that name. I don't know. Listen, I'm not saying they'll go undefeated, but I'm saying I won't
Ooh.
be surprised if they wind up going undefeated.
Listen here, if the Bills or the Broncos don't beat them, oh man, I don't know.
Awful.
The
I
Bills are
don't
gonna
know.
have to. I'm putting my money on that one. Like if I'm a bettor, that's the game where I'm like, look, they gotta lose at some point. The only thing that would be the most hilarious thing, and I'm not saying it's gonna happen, is if they go undefeated and then they're a first round exit or they're a divisional round exit.
Makes sense.
That would be
Well,
hilarious.
we're almost done, but before we go, just a few things here. Let me ask you, out of the games we just went over, what games specifically are you looking forward to, and which is going to be your must-watch game of the week?
Easily must watch is Lions Packers. This is going to be offense, offense, and more offense. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameer Gibbs, David Montgomery, Sam Laporta, Christian Watson, Jaden Reed. That's just the names. They could just go crazy. But I am also not gonna lie and say I'm more interested. This is the most I've ever been in a Broncos game in a while. Broncos Ravens for a defensive, maybe more of a struggle because Bo Nix also likes to run and Lamar Jackson kind of likes to run. So this is very interesting how these two teams will play. But the Ravens have a better offense. But they did
I
lose
don't
to the
know.
Raiders. They lost to the Raiders.
Yeah, to say right, it can kind of go either way. Kind of got your
Oh,
point
that's going to
there.
be fun. That's going to be a fun game. That game and the Lions Packers. And there was one more that kind of stood out. I think it was the Cardinals game you said.
Yeah, the Cardinals are going against where did I just Cardinals and Bears.
Yeah, that's one I want to watch too. Yeah. But I would
Yes,
say
sir.
easily game of the week, Detroit Green Bay.
Totally agree. I'm looking forward to the Detroit Green Bay game as well. I do find it's just, dude, they have a storied history as it is. You go all the way back to Barry Sanders and Brett Favre to now Aaron Rodgers and Megatron and Matt Stafford, if you will. Just take your pick. I'm also kind of looking forward to some degree of the Broncos and Ravens game, only because, again, I still think the Ravens are the best team in football as far as in the NFC side. I mean, AFC side.
Yeah,
I don't care what the Chiefs record is. Um, I just and plus, for what it's worth, I am a fan of Derrick Henry. I want to see him succeed. He
yeah,
went to
that's
this
fair.
team. I like to see them kind of grow. From other than that, I guess I'm looking forward to the Bills and Dolphins. I'm always intrigued when Tua's on the field because he seems to turn his team around. I want to see. Plus, I like Josh Allen for what it's worth. So those are the two set of games I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, who doesn't want to
Anything.
see a game with Tua and Damar Hamlin in the same game? Remember
Right? Exactly.
the last time they
Yeah.
played was when Tua got hurt. All right.
Revenge game.
And he ran into Damar Hamlin. That was the thing. He ran
Oh
into him.
no.
Well,
Hamlin didn't even lie. That's amazing. I tell you, that's what I'm looking forward to. Plus, they're gonna bring that up. But
oh, of course,
other
yeah.
than that, do you have any fantasy ideas or pickups? Anyone you want to let the people know? Hey, if you're interested.
Well, the main one this week is if you don't have Tank Dell, or if you know someone who doesn't need him, or if you can get him before Sunday. Well, actually, it's tonight. They play tonight. Never mind. Start Tank Dell if you have him because he's gonna be the guy tonight. Him and Stroud, and then of course, if you're not playing any of the skill position players in Detroit, then you're just missing out. Like if you
Yeah,
have
it's
Gibbs
going
and
pretty high.
Montgomery, start them. And then who's it? Who the Browns play against? Because I think Chubb could be up for a good run this week
Chargers
too.
playing against the Chargers.
Nah. Play Bo Nix against the Ravens. Bo
Okay.
Nix has been very quietly very good in fantasy, but he's also available in almost every league I'm in. It's very strange.
Nobody sees him. Like you said, quietly good. That's always a good thing in that sense.
They're 5-3.
Well, I'll let you know that does wrap it up for this week's show. But hey, tune in again. We'll be back. We'll be here to discuss the week's outcomes of these current games. How we'll even look over some fantasy scores, see if the predictions pan out the way they did. And you never know. We may even have some extra guests on the show. We'll see. But until then, we hope you all have a good rest of your day.
I do hope everyone has a good rest of your day. And I'm going to leave everybody with this question because I do want to know, who do you think can save Trevor Lawrence? I would like to know.
Ooh.
I'm
Put
starting
the
a
answers in the comments.
hashtag save Trevor Lawrence campaign. I'm starting it. There it
Wow.
is.
Trevor Lawrence needs saving. I don't know if I'm ready to go there with him yet. Right now, no, we'll see. We'll see, but that's a good question. Put in the comments, do you think a team is missing Trevor Lawrence? Or do you think Trevor Lawrence is fine where he is and the team just needs to overhaul themselves? Now, save Trevor Lawrence. Jacksonville's a dumpster fire. Get him out of there.
It's the curse of Jacksonville.
All right, everyone. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Duval.
Oh, goodbye, everybody.